Hi guys, it's Jalene with Jovi Star Astrology. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for the awesome feedback on the videos that I've done so far. I really appreciate that. I got a lot of really good feedback on the video that I did on the nodes. And don't worry, we'll be doing more videos on the nodes of the moon, especially since they will be changing on July 17th. And right now they're squaring Pluto. They will continue to square Pluto through the end of October. So more coming on that. But what I want to talk about today is the ingress of the planet Mars into the sign of Virgo. So Mars has been in the sign of Leo and now moves into Virgo. And Mars stays in a sign for about 45 days, unless it is in a retrograde, like we experienced last year when Mars went into Gemini, retrograded and stayed there for what seemed to be forever. As a Gemini, it felt like forever for me. The retrograde was really tough. But anyway, no retrograde this time. Mars enters the sign of Virgo from the sign of Leo, and that's very different. When we think about Leo, a fixed fire sign, all about creativity and pleasure and fun and children and all of those kinds of things, going for what you want, taking risks. Moving into the sign of Virgo is a little bit different. Virgo is a mutable earth sign, right? So it's one of the double-bodied signs of the zodiac, ruled by Mercury. So very much it's about movement and the mind. In the zodiac, Virgo and Mercury rule the sixth house. So when we talk about Mars being in the sign of Virgo, we're thinking about things like work and daily routine and our health, our obligations to other people, so service to other people, as well as our own taking care of ourselves, right? Their sixth house issues are pets, so animals, the things we have to do to take care of our animals, obligations, and just the things we do every day, all of the little tiny details that we have to pull together to get things done during the day, every single day. So Mars in Virgo is very organized and very practical, very efficient. It wants things to be just right and perfect. And Mars in Virgo can move through those things very, very quickly. So the good news with Mars in Virgo is we've kind of come down off of that little bit of that, impulsivity, the Leo, fire sign where Mars was sitting, and we're going into a much more practical place where we can kind of clean things up, organize things, and get the show on the road. Mars goes into Virgo on July the 10th, Monday, July the 10th. And Mars will be making aspects, obviously, to other planets, but right out of the gate, it will be coming into a square with Saturn, which I will talk about another time. But when you think about Mars, Mars is action and doing, and, Mars can be aggression and, fights and just problems and issues. When we talk about Mars in Virgo, it does very well in Virgo. So it's a lot about, maybe just sort of negotiating things out and putting things in place. Just all kind of depends on how you handle Virgo and Mars energy in your chart. But we are going into a time when we are trying to pull things together and get things organized and taken care of. So I'm going to share the chart here and show you the ingress here. And put my glasses on. The ingress of Mars over here at 0 degrees in the sign of Virgo, which happens on July the 10th. I'm recording this on July the 9th, so it will be happening tomorrow. And you can see that Mars at 0 degrees is coming into an opposition with Saturn, which will be happening right around the time that we have the new moon in Cancer. And I'll be talking about that as well this coming week. But for right now, again, just talking about Mars. And I will go through, switch screens a little bit and go through and show you where Mars will be transiting for each sign and what that might signify for the next 45 days. But right here, we have Mars in Virgo. In this chart, an Aries rising chart coming into the sixth house. So for Aries rising ruled by Mars, that's used to taking action and, sort of heading things up, taking care of their body, definitely big and strong going into the sixth house. It's a really good time for Aries rising to start working on their daily routines and their health, their diet and exercise, and also getting things organized in the work that they do on a daily basis. Mars, like I said, can be aggression and anger and frustration, but overall in the sixth house, Mars does really well in the sixth house. Mars was known to be in its joy in the sixth house, and so it can operate very nicely. Of course, when it goes into that opposition with Saturn, we might see some frustrations. Again, I will talk about that more later. But I'm going to actually pop out here for a second and fix the chart up so that we can take a look at all of the signs here and get a little bit of an idea of how this might affect you based on your rising sign. All right. So here we have Aries rising, which I already went through. Mars entering the sixth house, where it kind of likes it. Aries, a Mars ruled sign. Remember that Mars also rules Scorpio. So we have that here in the eighth house. So that could be also taking care of things, like taxes or hashing things out with a partner, debt. This could be actually taking care of somebody that is sick, possibly a partner, because the sixth house can rule, the need to take care of somebody or have somebody help take care of you. So those are the kinds of things that can come up for Aries rising. We go to Taurus. Mars is entering into the fifth house for Taurus rising, and there will be a trine from Taurus ascendants to the fifth house, which is the house of creativity and joy and children, pleasure. This is actually a really good place for Mars to be transiting with that trine to the ascendant for Taurus rising. This is also the house of like financial speculation, so stocks and gambling and things like that. But this could be a really good time for Taurus rising to work on those things. And I mentioned the financial speculation part of the fifth house because Taurus is a Venus ruled sign, which is all about finances and security and things like that. And so with Mars in this fifth house, trining all of the Taurus planets and energy right now, which is the North Node, Jupiter, Uranus, and of course the rising for Taurus. This Mars in Virgo transit should be really positive. Now, Mars does rule the 12th house, so this might be, actually trying to push yourself to get things done or express yourself. Sometimes Mars in the 12th house for Taurus rising can be internal frustrations or things going on behind the scenes that other people can't see, but definitely a good time to bring that Mars energy out of the 12th house and express it through the fifth house. We also have Mars ruling the seventh house for Taurus rising. So we could have some activity going on there related to partnerships, relationships, clients, things like that. Okay, let's move on to Gemini rising. All right, for Gemini rising, we have Mars moving into the fourth house of the home. The fourth house is a private place. So whatever's going on there, it's either going to be with your home, your family, or processing something private. outside of, you know, the eyes of the public, so personal. And this could be cleaning up your house, or deciding whether or not you're going to move houses. Virgo can very much be about calculating numbers and, you know, getting everything in order. So this could be about leases, or moving, you know, organizing things, putting a list together, or helping your home or somebody in your family, because the foundation is a family. Now for Gemini rising, this is creating a square from the ascendant, which is a bit tense. And that could be that, and that represents you. The rising represents you as a Gemini rising. So this could represent frustrations and problems in the home, and with family. So it will require a little bit of holding back, some aggression, maybe. Don't want to have fights and things like that at home, but, you know, maybe trying to channel that energy through your body. Exercise is really good. Mars rules the 11th house of friends and networks. So this could have you busy working on things at home, and presenting it to others that you're connected with. It also could mean that there are people that could actually help you resolve any kind of an issue that might be going on within your home and family. Mars also rules Scorpio here, which is the 6th house. So we want to look for things like our daily routines, our work, definitely our health. Things like that could come up that we have to deal with, or maybe even with our pets, right? Okay. Next, we have Cancer rising. So for Cancer rising, Mars is going into the 3rd house of communication and the mind. This represents your immediate environment. This represents siblings, relatives, your neighborhood. This is the 3rd house is like all of the busy things that you have to do locally in your immediate area every single day. It's just kind of like your day-to-day stuff. It's a lot like the 6th house, but expanded even more. So it's about learning and having conversations, messages. Mars in the 3rd house can mean that you're very busy. It can mean that there can be problems. You want to be very careful driving while Mars is in your 3rd house. Map things out. Virgo is very good at making a plan and mapping out a trip. And getting things done efficiently, right? Making a checklist and checking it off. There could be, you know, issues with family or siblings that you have to work through, or you have to help somebody in your immediate family. This transit is sextiling your ascendant. So there are resolutions, right? That's a harmonious aspect of sextile. So it's likely that you could, you know, temper something if it is getting out of hand or you're getting too busy. So that's a helpful aspect for Cancer rising. Now, Mars rules the 10th house of career and commitments, responsibility. So that is a very public place in our chart. So it's possible that we're having to learn or communicate, or something that is related to our work, or our reputation, public reputation, or some kind of commitment or responsibility that we have out there in the world, right? So very much a career house. So what's happening down here with Mars transiting your 3rd house, which we can take an example, it's communicating in messages, organizing something, putting a plan together, could very much have something to do with your career. Mars also rules your 5th house of creativity and children. So this could have something to do with, you know, dealing with something like that. So this definitely comes together for Cancer rising, where you could be preparing something or putting something together that has to do with your career. And, you know, it could be something creative. This house, the 5th house, is self-employment as well. So look for look for things like that to happen for Cancer rising. For Leo rising, we have Mars entering in the second house of resources and values, the things that you have, own, and possess, and your earned income. Mars in that house is probably going to have you really wanting to work very hard to create income or move your resources around, take an accounting of what you have, put everything together. You may be having to consult somebody to help you get things organized in that area. But Mars in the sign of Virgo in your second house very much has to do with protecting your personal resources, so finances and food, and also the second house is your own personal self-esteem as well, and your body. So Mars rules for Leo rising the ninth house, right? The ninth house is all about higher education, ruled by Jupiter in the zodiac. The ninth house represents foreign travel. It represents justice. It represents our philosophies and our beliefs, and around things like religion and education. So there could be some work there that you're doing in the second house around what kind of resources you have that have to do with, can I take a trip, or can I afford to go back to school, something like that. Mars also rules the fourth house of the home, family, and foundation, being in the sign of Scorpio. And that's creating a square. We have the South Node in Scorpio, so there could be some challenges regarding the family. And do we have enough money to do these things? It could have something to do with your house, specifically, and where you live, or somebody in the family, or it could have to do with on a more personal level, if we're talking about Mars in the second house and your own self-esteem and what your beliefs are, right? This could have something to do with past memories, or issues that you're unpacking even from your childhood or in your family in some way. So look for those kinds of things for Leo rising. For Virgo rising, we have Mars going into the first house. So this is a really positive challenge, or transit potentially for Virgo rising. This should have you feeling a lot more motivated physically to kind of get things done, take care of your body, organize your day and everything that has to do with how you physically present yourself. So very, very much about taking care of yourself and, taking that action to do that. Now, Mars can be aggressive. So, you want to kind of pull it back and try not to do too much. Mars going into the first house is sort of like it's a new start for Mars, right? And for Virgo rising that likes everything to be perfect and organized, you just want to make sure you're not moving too quickly. But this can also, Mars going through the first house can take away some of the hesitation to be perfect and precise from the natural instincts of Virgo rising, can actually sort of catapult or push forward progress when it comes to yourself, your body, and what you're doing or changing in that area of your life. Mars rules the eighth house here for Virgo rising, and this could have everything to do with things like intimacy, resources, debts. This could be obligations to other people. This could be something related to a partner and combined resources, the things that you need, things like insurance, possibly, or inheritances. Overall, also too, having Mars in the eighth house can represent taking care of something in your body, like a surgery or something like that. So I could see maybe Virgo risings really, getting motivated to make physical changes and possibly, doing those things or spending money on those things, in the form of like, I don't know, maybe even cosmetic surgery. Although I would say preparing for it, which Virgo is really good at, it's probably, and doing the accounting on things like that is probably best, and not actually doing it, especially while Venus is in Leo and ready to go retrograde. So, okay to plan those kinds of things, really big moves when it comes to physical changes. But probably best to wait until Venus completely comes out of the retrograde and out of the shadow, probably like end of September, beginning of October. Mars also rules the third house, which is your immediate environment, your mindset, your communication, and short trips and travel. This is also siblings and immediate relatives. So something could come up around that type of issue or area in your life too. So this could involve other people, or short trips, or negotiating, or having conversations, or sending messages regarding what it is that Mars is doing in your first house. Again, likely it has something to do with your physical presence, emotional and psychological presence, and your overall motivation. Okay. Next, we have Libra rising. So for Libra rising, we have Mars going into the 12th house in the sign of Virgo. And that can be a little bit frustrating place for Mars to transit for Libra risings. This could be restlessness, knowing that you have so many things to do that you're not getting enough sleep. There can be frustrations and things that you're sort of pushing down that are, causing issues, even anger issues or frustration issues behind, it's like a behind the scenes subconsciously. So this could be related to relationships, because Mars rules the 7th house here for Libra rising, which is relationships, and it also rules the 2nd house of resources. So this could have something to do with resources and money and earned income, the things that you need to survive. So this might be a little bit challenging, this transit for Libra rising, but again, it is trining all of this Taurus here in the 8th house, which is shared resources, how others might be able to help you. Jupiter is there. So, lean into working with people that you feel closest to. This could be payment from clients. This could also be debts and things like that. So whatever is being held back, or you're holding in or worried about in the 12th house with Mars going through there, maybe look to your 8th house, look to Taurus, see what it is that you're trying to create in, the long run. And you should be able to come up with some kind of answers. It might be a really good time if this is financial, having to do with a relationship and money, is to be able to get help even through a loan or something like that. Also, the 12th house is what's hidden, what we can't see. So it's a bit of a blind spot. So you want to be careful of things going on behind the scenes that you aren't aware of. 12th house can be hidden enemies, and so something might be going on there behind the scenes that, I hate to say it, because I don't like to be negative, but they could be creating some kind of sabotage or perceived sabotage when it comes to relationships and money. All right. We have Scorpio rising. The Scorpio rising, your chart ruler is Mars along with Pluto. So this transit, any transit of Mars will affect you directly and personally. Mars is going to be transiting through your 11th house of friends, acquaintances, and networks, hopes, wishes, dreams, the people that you connect with. So you might find yourself very, very busy in networking. It might have something to do with your job, or just really just making contact with other people, or working within an organization, or joining some kind of an organization. Mars also rules your 6th house, which is Aries, and that is service to other people. So it is the house of service. So it could very well find you working for some kind of cause or some kind of charity, and then maybe you're the person that's organizing it or starting it. Mars, right, in Virgo. This looks like a pretty nice transit for a Scorpio rising. You could just be very busy. Now, Mars can create aggression and separation. So you could be having some, quarrels and issues with the people that you're trying to connect with. But likely you'll have people to help you. There's a trine there to the 7th house of relationships. So if there are issues, you might be able to smooth things over through relationships with other people, or, mediators or something like that. Okay. We have Sagittarius rising next. So Sag. We have Mars moving into your 10th house of career and responsibilities and public reputation. So this is a very public place in your chart. Mars is moving into the area of your chart right past your midheaven. So it's likely to affect your career. There could be a big project that you're putting together, organizing, heading up, something that has to be cleaned up. It, again, remember, Virgo is about being practical. It's about being efficient. Virgo can move through things very, very quickly and methodically. So it's about operations and process. So this could have something to do with your career. Mars rules. It's also too, Mars is like, again, splitting and separating. This could actually mean as well leaving a job, right? Making the decision and deciding that it's not the best fit for you. So, again, Mars can bring something in that is aggressive and frustrating. So it just kind of depends. So look for something like that. Mars for Sagittarius rising rules the 5th house of creativity, children, fun, pleasure, but also taking risks. So this could be you deciding to go out on your own, self-employment, right? Which changes your responsibility and your position in your career. So maybe you decide to leave because you're starting your own, something on your own, right? Or you are forced to, right? Mars can create something that you're forced to do. So there could be a separation of sorts there, potentially. But again, this is the trines to Taurus are really helpful for everybody if they're in a situation that might be adversarial. So all of the Taurus, North Node, Jupiter, Uranus, all in your 6th house of work. So the trine here means this could happen very easily. So this definitely looks to me like something having to do with work and coworkers' career, and doing something potentially for yourself individually. So it could be starting a new project that actually forces you to put a plan together and a process that you can actually show to the world. So I hope that is something that is exciting and fun for Sagittarius rising, and that it's not too intense. Okay. Capricorn rising. Capricorn next. So Capricorn, we have Mars moving into your 9th house. So this is all about your beliefs and philosophies. This is about the higher mind and learning. This can also be about experts helping you do things, or changing like who you're using as maybe even a doctor or a spiritual leader. This is also about trips, foreign lands, and long distance trips. So you could find yourself, there could be some hassles there when it comes to any of those things that you're trying to put together. Mars rules your 4th house of the home. So this could have something to do with obligations to home or to family that might be blocking you from, getting things done, maybe going on a trip. Mars also rules the 11th house of friends and acquaintances. And so there could be a connection with what you're trying to expand or learn or do or experience in your ninth house. This could have something to do with some kind of an organization or a network or friends or acquaintances. And this could actually be, I'm changing my group of friends, right? I've decided that, I believe this, or I'm going to, join this group or adopt this philosophy. And that changes the group of people that you're affiliated with, right? Or organizations. And that can include organizations and networks that are connected to your work and your career. Okay. So we have next Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius rising, Mars is moving into your 8th house. And this is all about reconciling potentially debt. This can be very much about taxes and accounting, insurance. This can also be, because Mars can be very passionate, and this is the house of intimacy, can very much be about something passionate like that's going on with a partner. It's very much, this is about shared resources. So, Mars likes it in the 8th house, right? Because Mars, the 8th house is the Scorpio house. And Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpios. So this looks to me like a very positive transit, whatever it is you're trying to get done that involves other people or some kind of obligation or debt. You should be able to pull together with a very practical, methodical approach. Mars and Virgo can move very quickly and very efficiently, like I mentioned. Mars also rules the 3rd house of communication and the mind for Aquarius rising. And so, in Aries, your mind can be moving very quickly. You could have no fear in terms of what kind of conversations you have to have or what you need to do. It's your immediate environment, how you need to move around and gather things to actually get things taken care of in that 8th house. So look for something like that for Aquarius rising. And then we have Pisces rising, last but not least. And Pisces has Mars moving into its 7th house of relationships and partnerships, which is opposing you, the rising, your ascendant. So there could be some issues when it comes to partnerships or relationships. You could have some kind of a separation, something to negotiate. This could be planning. It could, you could have somebody coming in, and there could be a need to have conversations and understanding about what the relationship is. But, overall, making an opposition to your ascendant, I think this might be something that you need to do or hash out with somebody else. Be very careful. This is open enemies, and Mars can be aggressive in the 7th house of relationships. So, this could be challenges and arguments and issues that have to be worked through. Mars and Virgo can be very patient, like I said, methodical and operational. So, hopefully it is not too aggressive, right? This could be a romantic partnership, including a marriage, but it could also be any kind of agreement that you would have. So clients, or a relationship with a doctor, a relationship with a lawyer or an attorney. This could also represent legal cases, court cases, like 7th house can be divorces. So this might be a bit of a challenge for Pisces rising, the transit of Mars in Virgo. And Mars rules the 2nd house of earned income and resources. So this could have something to do with really standing up for yourself when it comes to whatever relationship is coming in that's requiring all of this processing and planning and negotiations. So this could be about protecting your resources when it comes to a relationship. Mars also rules the 9th house of education, philosophy, beliefs, and travel. So look for something like that. I could see if you're trying to, go on a trip and, the other party is kind of, not able to pull it together, right? That could cause a problem with the trip. Or, trying to negotiate something that, will allow you to continue your education potentially. And, you really need to take an accounting of what your own personal resources are, be able to stand up for yourself and take action, so that you get what you need. So those are some possible scenarios for each of the rising signs as Mars moves into the sign of Virgo. I'm going to stop the share. But keep in mind that Mars immediately after its entry into the sign of Virgo is going to make an opposition with Saturn. And that's where we might meet some opposition, some frustration, some kind of responsibility. I'll talk about that in another video that I'll do this week. Again, that will be happening just right around the time that the new moon in Cancer shows up. And again, we do have Pluto involved still squaring the nodes. And when Saturn is involved, that's related because Pluto's in the sign of Capricorn. So we'll talk more about that, about the nodes and Pluto's involvement as Mars moves into its opposition with Saturn, and just in general, how all of that will be playing out as the nodes move into Aries and Libra. But definitely will come into play with the new moon in Cancer that will be happening on the 17th. So look for a video on that. If you would like, subscribe and share this video, but subscribe and like the channel, I would be very, very grateful. Thank you so much for your interaction so far and for coming back and watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to take a look at your chart, my email address and my website is down below in the comments. Thank you to those people who I have read for so far and recently. It's always an awesome experience for me working with people one-on-one. So thank you very much. I will see you soon. And until then, may the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care. Bye for now.